Hi, I'm Ross.
And I'm James.
And we are going to be talking about The Dark Knight, a small little indie movie, really flew under the radar last few years. I don't think many people know about this movie.
I'm just going to say it. I think the Joker is a good character, and I think people should really start talking about him more.
Luckily, we are here to not saturate this market at all, and you have two white men in their 20s talking about the Dark Knight movies.
That's right.
That's what the internet needs.
That's all you need.
Right now.
Right now, listen.
More than ever.
Listen to us. We're right.
Well, it's a good movie, I think.
It was no Batman Begins, but it was better.
This is my favorite Batman movie to this day. We have seen the new one, and it's really good, but this is always going to be the one for me, I think. This was not the first Batman movie I saw ever, but I think the first one I saw in its entirety, and it was what first got me into Batman as like a concept beyond a guy who was in a movie and cartoons I watched. So I think I can trace my whole Batman fanboyism back to this. I have seen this movie so many times. It's really interesting that even after all this time, all these years, all these viewings, and all these lines being driven into meme status and hearing them out of context so often, they haven't really lost any power in context for me. This movie still hits me just as hard as a total experience, as a narrative, every time I sit down and watch it. And I feel like every time I sit down and watch it, I find new things to appreciate. Scene after scene, line after line, like I know it all off by heart, but I'm still like so in it. I'm still with it. I'm like, yes, here comes No More Dead Cops guy, my favorite character.
My man.
Yeah.
No more dead cops! Yeah!
It's pretty airtight overall, logically. I mean, there's a few things like, how did Joker rig up those fairies? Like, when did he do that?
He had guys do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that. Like, every little logical hole you could think to poke in this movie has been poked in it, and I'm not really interested in doing that because I love this movie. And even those little holes, I think, are just part of the tapestry, because anything that goes in a weird direction will eventually swing back around into something that I think is really brilliant. So I'll take the weird missteps here and there and the over twisting, and in 2.5 hours, if like one or two things don't quite make sense, that's fine.
That's fine.
If everything else is like one of the best movies you've ever seen and a couple things are kind of dumb, then if you can't overlook the dumb things, just don't watch movies.
Richard Dent. Patrick Harvey.
Harvey Dent.
Batman movies have such a distinct sense of identity. Like, each one really does feel like it has the blueprint, or fingerprint rather, the shattered bullet fingerprint of their respective directors. Because this really does feel like a Christopher Nolan movie first and foremost, and I love Nolan. You know, I'm very niche in that way. I think a lot of why The Dark Knight just feels right as a Batman movie is because this was kind of the Batman movie for a while, and comics tend to get influenced by the very popular movies. So I think a lot of the dynamics and the ideas and the representations of certain aspects of Batman were altered, or at least, you know, inspired by Christopher Nolan's take. Absolutely, Batman would not be where he is in pop culture if it wasn't for this specific movie.
Definitely.
If this had been like Batman has to fight the Riddler and that was, or something like, that movie would fucking flop, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine making a movie where Batman fights the Riddler. I wouldn't call it lightning in a bottle, but I don't think you're ever going to hit these kind of heights again. I don't see myself ever enjoying a comic book movie as much as this one again. I hope I do. That'd be fun. Be surprising.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
The only thing I would say, I don't even dislike this because I think it works for a Batman movie in general, but it feels weird as the sequel to Batman Begins, is that this is kind of about how Batman wants to retire, and it's just weird to do the origin movie and then the movie where Batman wants to give it up. I feel like that was more of maybe a third movie thing.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
As much as people praise Heath Ledger and Christian Bale, etc., I really think Aaron Eckhart gets overlooked, and his performance has never really gotten that kind of constant acclaim that Bale and Ledger get, and not undeserved for them, but I think Aaron Eckhart's fantastic too. And Gary Oldman. Really, everyone's great,
Gary
obviously.
Oldman, of course. Yeah.
Aaron Eckhart sells like every aspect of Harvey Dent really well. you can always see the kind of like anger and resentment bubbling under the surface, and you get why it gets brought out.
No, you're not. Not yet.
My favorite character was the prisoner that threw the detonator out the window.
Yeah, he's cool.
He was a cool guy.
It's a very hopeful movie, even though it ends on a note of deception and disgrace for Batman. I think I like the notion that the people of Gotham do still want things to be better, and the average citizen does believe in what Batman and Harvey Dent are fighting for. Like, that's the kind of uplifting superhero stuff that you really don't get anymore. I feel like it's so rare that you get a superhero movie now about how superheroes inspire people. Like, it so rarely feels like the movies are about that, because they're always about, look at the thing they're doing, look at the guy they're fighting, oh, it's another guy, oh, there's more guys helping the fight. Like, it's just about stuff. And there are so many parts of this where you just get random citizens of Gotham who get this kind of attention and get like a critical part of the plot. The Batman did correct this, or not correct it, but did at least employ this idea, which is that show how superheroes inspire people, show the effect they're having on the city. Make that part of the story. It seems so simple and obvious.
Whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
Let's forget all of like the years after this movie was released and how much the Joker has become super mainstream and all this stuff that's happened since then. Let's just think back to when it came out.
Yeah.
It was really fucking good.
No, it's phenomenal. It's unreal how good he is. It's the rare performance that is absolutely worth all the hype. Much like how Nolan kind of reinvented the Batman with these movies, that reinvented what the Joker was.
Yes.
I would say for the worse, given how things panned out, just culturally. The Joker kind of feels like he's out of a different movie in this one, but in a good way. He does feel like this just chaotic force who just appeared out of nowhere, and the mystery and the ambiguity of that character, I think, only adds to it.
Always changing the backstory every time he brings it up. Like, you don't explain the Joker.
No, you can't. You can't.
like-
That's why Joker is so good. I choose to believe all of Joker's backstories are true at the same time. He's cut his mouth open hundreds of times.
And I thought my jokes were bad.
Like Batman Begins, it's hard to talk about this movie in specific because I just like everything. Everything is good. Everything works. Everything flows together so well. I like every little touch, every little moment. I do wish there was more. It's one of the rare movies where as well timed and as well paced as it is, I do just think I could spend another hour and a half in here watching this go on. This movie could have been 15 pounds of in a 5-pound bag, but it's not. It's got just the right amount of everything.
It doesn't have Man-Bat, but I can look over that.
I mean, that would have been an interesting inclusion.
Know your limits, Master Wayne.
Batman has no limits.
I mean, like, my opinion of this movie has never changed because I watched it when I was 10 and kind of into Batman, so I will love it forever. Like, I've accepted that. This is one of the few movies, well, not few, but one of the select few that I cannot watch with any sort of real critical eye. I know I'm going to enjoy it either way.
This city just showed you that it's full of people ready to believe in good.
The Batman voice does get a little more egregious.
I will say, I don't mind the Batman voice. I would just like it if he talked less.
I swear the mouth hole is smaller in this one.
You wanted me. Here I am.
Even with the Batman in the conversation, I think this is still going to be the one people refer back to as the best Batman movie. It does also depend what you're looking for from a Batman movie.
Are we not going to talk about the fact that Batman did like legitimately just kill dogs in this movie? He threw them over that shaft. That's what it is. It's
Okay, I'll just say it. He's allowed to kill those dogs in that scenario. Batman will never take a human life with his own two hands. A dog life worth much less in that scenario,
Why
I
didn't
think.
you just shock him?
That's a good question.
he wanted to kill those dogs.
Maybe Batman loves killing dogs. We don't know that he doesn't. That's why in the opening scene, when the other Batman impersonators are getting attacked with a dog, he like drags him towards them. He's like, yes, bring the dogs to me. Batman's just so excited to murder some dogs.
Yes.
How will it hold up against dogs?
We talking Rottweilers or Chihuahuas?
Dark Knight, like Batman Begins, still an excellent movie. I'm glad that we are here to bring some real critical validity to The Dark Knight. Finally, someone likes it.
You were a schemer. You had plans. And look where that got you.
This movie would have been so much better if the Joker had been after a magical rock that could turn people into fire, like the hit film Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins.